Because everybody's always arguing, like, I'd rather shoot a brake because I want less recoil, and other people, no, I'd rather shoot a suppressor. So you kind of took the best of both of those things, and here we are.
Yep, that's where we ended.
Nice. Welcome to another edition of MeatEater Experiments. Today, I'm out in Logan, Montana with Lucas Van Laken from Silencer Central, and we are testing out the new suppressor that's made by Silencer Central in collaboration with MeatEater. A bunch of the MeatEater crew put in their input about what they liked and didn't like about current suppressors, and here we are, we came up with this thing. Lucas, why don't you give me just a really quick rundown?
Yeah, so really trying to get all of the added benefits into one small package was the target. And so out hunting, you want it to be light, short. You don't want it in the way when you're shooting animals. So we got this at 10 ounces and 6 inches long, so really small and compact, but with that, able to make it really quiet and still hearing safe. And then the added benefit of the brake on there is just to reduce that recoil when you're shooting too.
How come I've never seen a brake with such small holes before?
So as you open the diameter of those holes up, it's going to reduce how effective it is for reducing the noise, and so it's going to get significantly louder. That's why if you shoot just a normal brake, you notice how loud they are. Yep, so trying to find a happy medium between how much you can reduce the recoil and reduce the sound. So you're going to install this onto your gun, screw it onto your gun, and determine what part of that is pointing up. Okay. And so once you've got that determined, you can take off this muzzle brake end cap here. And got this nice little sleeve in here. So what this sleeve allows you to do is allows you to tune it in any direction depending how those threads lined up on your gun. So all you have to do, take this sleeve, turn it 30 degrees, put it back in, and then you put it back in the suppressor. One other thing that we have in this also is to be able to close that brake off if you need to. So if you're looking for maximum sound suppression, you can flip this sleeve over and close those brakes off. So it kind of gives you either option depending what you're wanting to shoot.
So now we're gonna go do some shooting. The first sort of stage that I'm gonna shoot off the bipod on the ground, and I'm doing it to sort of just get a subjective idea of what it feels like to shoot this rifle with no suppressor, with a suppressor, and then with the same suppressor, and also using the use of the brake that's inside of the suppressor. And then we're gonna go and do the same thing, and we're going to measure the noise levels, and then we're going to do the same thing and measure the recoil levels. Maybe it's my excellent shooting form that it just absorbed that recoil so well. I'm kidding. But 300 Win Mag, it does pop you. I definitely lost sight of the target when the gun went off. But now I'm gonna screw on the suppressor. And I'm gonna shoot it with the suppressor on, but with the brake not yet engaged. All right, so just to make sure that my brake is not engaged, so I wanna shoot it so it's just the suppressor. So I'm gonna close all of the holes. Pull this little ring out, flip it. That easy. So now it's gonna act as basically just a suppressor. A fair amount less recoil, even though my scope jumped off the target, I was still looking at the target. Had it been an animal, the animal would have still been within my scope. I'm wearing double ear protection, so it's hard to say how much the sound was reduced. Is there less boom? 100% less boom, but it's hard to say when you're really protecting your ears. So now I'm gonna flip the brake collar inside the suppressor, which will allow the brake to be engaged and be used, and we're gonna time it again so that there's no air, pushing down into the ground. It's gonna go out and up. Okay, so that was with the brake engaged, meaning the brake was open. My gun still jumped off a target a little bit. Was it the mildest of the 3 shots? Maybe. But that's why we have this fancy equipment here, and we're gonna test the same equipment that Silencer Central uses in-house to test how well these things work. So we're gonna do that now, and then we'll let the numbers show us. Our first experiment will measure the decibel levels impacting a shooter's ears. To minimize reflections and other environmental factors, our microphones will be positioned 1.6 meters above the ground on tripods. We will conduct a series of shots, 1 without any attachment, 2 with the suppressor and the brake closed, and 2 with the suppressor and the brake open. After all the shots are completed, we will calculate the average decibel levels. Safe decibel levels without hearing protection are sub 140 decibels. Will our results prove hearing safe? Only our tests will tell. All right, let's shoot. All right, so we only had to shoot the unsuppressed gun once, but we shot 2 shots for suppressed and then suppressed with the brake. Tell me why.
Yeah, so we take 2 shots on all our sound testing because the first shot in the suppressor, when it's cold, you'll get a first round pop. So there's additional air and oxygen inside that suppressor at that time, which ignites some of that unburnt powder. So it'll be a little louder on that first shot. So we'll take 2 and look at both data points.
All right, so you have, I guess it would be 5 good readings on the laptop. You show them to me?
Yeah, let's take a look. We've got the unsuppressed, and this is on 300 Win Mag. We've got suppressed with just the silencer, and then suppressed with the silencer with the brake as well. So this is basically showing your sound pressure over the time of that firing. Okay. And so right now we're looking at the peak sound that you heard at the shooter's ear. So you'll see unsuppressed here, 159, and that's pretty standard for 300 Win Mag. Okay. And
that's literally 159 decibels.
Yep, right at your ear. So if we look over here with the brake open, the maximum reading here was right at 142, and then brake closed. This is where you'll see it quite a bit quieter at 135. And so that's where a little bit of a trade-off between recoil reduction versus sound reduction.
Sure. So yeah, with the brake open, you're right at that
right borderline on a 300 Win Mag. Yep.
So anything less, if we had it onto a 30-06,
yep, you'd be well under.
You'd be well under.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep. And that's why this silencer is rated up to 300 rum, being the loudest of all the calibers that it's rated for. Okay. And so the top end of that is really right at that hearing safe level.
So yeah, 160 roughly down to 135. So 25 decibel reduction going with the fully closed suppressor. Yep. Yeah. And I don't even shoot a 300 Win that often anymore, man. I'm already thinking how sweet it's going to be shooting these smaller calibers.
Yeah,
the 6.5s and the 7s, which that's mostly what I'm hunting with anymore these days.
Yeah, this will make those really quiet.
Totally. I guess now we'll get rid of all this equipment and go to this machine that measures recoil, yeah?
Yeah.
Next is the recoil test. To measure the recoil of any gun, manufacturers and the military use a force sensor mounted in the fixture directly behind the firearm buttstock. The firearm is mounted into the fixture on bearing slides that allow it to move backward when fired. As the firearm is fired, the buttstock places a force on the sensor that is then recorded into the B&K Pulse software. We will test once without any attachment, once with the suppressor and the brake closed, and once with the suppressor and the brake open. After that, we'll go over the results. Let's get started. Firing. Okay, firing. All right, let's look at our recoil readings. Show me what I'm looking at.
Yeah, so here you're looking at the unsuppressed, and what you want to look at is this green line here. Okay. This is the sound data in there. Okay. So this green line, you'll see this big spike up to there.
Yep.
And then it reverberated, and then back down to 0.
Okay.
And down here we have both of the suppressed versions. So this is brake closed, so no brake usage, you'll see. And then over here, this is with the brake open. So you'll see a similar spike. Values though are about a 10% difference. So looking at the readings from suppressed to brake closed,
yeah, it's
about a 29% reduction there between the values, and then brake closed to brake open. So using that recoil brake, it's about 39% between those two maximum force values.
But not 39% going less from this one to this one,
Yep, so from unsuppressed to using the brake, it's a total of 39% reduction.
So 10% more recoil reduction by using the brake.
That's correct, yep.
I would imagine that, especially on something like a 300 Win, you ought to be able to feel 10%.
You'd think so, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. But again, that'll just have to be a decision for every shooter or hunter. It's like in the situation you're in, you just make the decision on, is it okay to be a little bit louder and not have that gun jump? Or would you just rather have it be super, more quiet and jumps just 10% more, right?
Yep, yeah, leave it up to the shooter to choose.
All right, so you can see by the numbers that, adjusting the suppressor to either engage and use the brake or not use the brake, it makes a considerable difference.